Well, somebody should say something. Wait, I'm the host. But
Yes, you are.
oh, hello everyone, and welcome to the MakerCast. It's episode 31, I think, and I'm joined by a lot of wonderful people today, and they are all here, and one is just an eye.
Hello.
What's going on? Right. This is okay.
It's fair.
Yeah.
It's okay to be an eye.
Well,
we're doing it.
so
I didn't know we were going for it. All right, here we go.
Okay. We were just
I actually have a ceiling fan. Damn it! You didn't tell me.
Well, 20 seconds
fan in
before
the
we
other
wanted
room.
to start the stream, we wanted to make an OnlyFans joke.
You can
and
see the
show-
shadow though, like there.
Okay. Okay, so now that we got this out of course.
Improvising. Sorry. That was quite
Wait,
long.
hold on.
Oh, we can't start right now because Maiko isn't here. What? He was asking for the link and for everything to not miss it. Well, Maiko knows what the MakerCast is, so I can tell about the MakerCast a bit. It's about 6 makers that joined forces on a live stream, like today, on the first Sunday of the month, which is totally now and not last week when we missed it. Yeah, I think everyone was kind of in a holiday mood, and it's August, so why shouldn't they? But yeah, we kind of made it possible to stream today, so that's nice. We're continuing our almost 3-year mission now to stream and tell everyone about our latest endeavors and projects that we did. Or bitluni is just telling us something about something he did last month because he did other things. But he's here, and everyone is happy about that. Yeah. So, who do we have here today? Well, I'm Dave Darko, and I like to tinker with electronics, do 3D printing stuff, and well, soon I learn how to saw things together, and that's pretty nice. Saw things together? That would be an interesting thing to do, but I don't think that's possible. Anyways, I'm just gonna quickly pass to bitluni, and then we can go around and everyone can talk about themselves for a second before we go into the rounds of telling everyone what we did.
So
Did
we
you
do
get the-
introduction first, or what?
Yes, who are you,
Okay.
bitluni? What are you doing?
I'm a YouTube. I'm a maker, which is sometimes like every half a year releases a video on YouTube. It's very sad for my supporters, I must admit. Yeah, and I'm streaming also on my bitluni's Trash channel, and yeah, releasing from time to time videos on electronic projects that I do on the main channel. Mainly, yes. Yeah, that's me.
Let's pass that on to Matou. Who are you?
Well, hello there. I'm Matou from the YouTube channel Matou Makes. I started my YouTube channel about a year ago. I think it's now more than a year, to motivate myself to finish some projects that I had in my head. And yeah, so I said, okay, now let's do for the rest of the year one YouTube video each month, and that worked great. And I'm still at it, and it's still fun. So I do mostly 3D printing stuff lately, but I plan to do other stuff as well. Lately, resin printing stuff, which is a lot of fun.
And still 3D printing,
Nice.
but that's okay.
Yeah.
So, well, next up, Mr. Twinkle Twinkie. Whoopsie. It's very small. I just read it without thinking what I'm saying. Who are
It's
you?
okay. Half the reason I like the name is people say it wrong. But yeah, I normally I do badges and that kind of stuff for like DEF CON and different hacker conferences and things. Still doing that. Not as much as I have in the last couple of years for obvious reasons. I was actually supposed to be at DEF CON, but I ended up having to cancel my trip kind of last minute. due to concerns about my daughter since she's too young to be vaccinated. But still got stuff to show off, and pretty excited to be on the cast this time.
Yay. Timon.
Yeah, I'm Timon. Timonsku on Twitter. I like to design products, make stuff with all kinds of techniques and tools, most electronic stuff, but I also like to mill stuff and 3D print and all sorts of stuff. That's fun.
Cool.
Yeah,
and
that's me.
new on the, yeah, nice. So new on the show this time, for the very first time, is also Guy. Why don't you say something about yourself?
Sure. Thanks for having me, first of all. My name is Guy Dupont. I am known for having never introduced myself in one of my YouTube videos before. That's the first time I've actually said my name online. That's the feedback I got from my mom. So I like many people here, I make stuff mostly kind of electronics leaning. I'm a software dev by trade, and that's kind of the angle I'm coming at things from. But for the past, I'd say 2 to 3 years, I've been kind of secretly more interested in hardware and been training myself on that. So a lot of my projects skew musical, as you might be able to tell from there's hints throughout this room. But I don't want to pigeonhole myself in the music category, because I do other stuff too. So yeah, hardware, software, mostly digital. I'd say digital is how I'd categorize it broadly.
Nice.
Yes,
So, yeah. Now that we have that out of our system, we can now go over to talk about, well, the last month for the regular people, or, well, actually they can talk about anything. Who am I kidding? Bitluni as well. I don't know who wants to go first, but I don't want to send in the new guy first. So is anyone offering to tell us about their project?
care. Whoever. If
All
no one
right,
wants, I can.
then it's you. And I've recently learned how to not show my face here. You have to drag the person into this
Ooh,
view.
yeah.
So
Nice.
everyone who wants to make a MakerCast can now do.
That's perfect. Yeah, I don't know. I've been busy with the same shit as the past nearly 8 months. No, what month is it? August, yeah, 8 months. And that is Pionra. Just quickly an update, because I don't know how much else to show you exactly. I now have product packaging, which I had be produced with a little Easter egg on the back.
Very nice.
Open that up. There is little accessories in here, some rubber feet and some screws. And yeah, this is what I've been working on the past 9 months. I'm not going over this again because I've done so, I think, the last 4 times I've been on this year. If you want to know more about this, go to crowdsupply.com. Look for Pionra. This is a Compute Module 4 carrier that I've been working on, and it's like my first kind of product that I'm commercially launching. And it's been a lot of fun and a lot of stress, and I'm glad that it's actually now out of the door, because I've a couple days ago put in the order for 1,200 pieces of these. And yeah, that is getting mass produced now, which has been an interesting journey. Yeah, the screws here are meant for, like, here, this is an M2 slot. I include 2 because you will lose one. Yeah, and the rubber feet, so your
Generous.
desk is safe, because these things are quite pointy and scratchy. Yeah, actually not that much, I think, to update. I've done some changes to the silk screen, little guidelines for, like, where you have to insert the module. So, like, with the module looks like this.
So
with a module
what-
and a fat heatsink.
What number of revision is that you're holding there?
That is revision
How many
number 1.
revisions did you?
And that is
Yes.
not really true in terms of the revisions of how many prototypes I did. So this is like the production revision. So like the first unit that people will receive commercial. But I've done 5 revisions actually of this PCB. And Actually, since the first revision, like functionally, barely anything changed.
You just move
but-
stuff and
Yeah, moving stuff and like definitely thinking about pinout a lot, because that's really important. Like you need to figure out like what functionality is important for people, because this is a dev board, you know. It's you have to think about many use cases and think about what people might need in terms of functionality from the Pi. So I have to like really be careful of what I use where. So one change, for example, that I did in this revision, because this is an Arduino Uno form factor, if it wasn't clear already. These pins here have become now an hardware UART or serial port, which is also what the Uno has. And I thought this was actually not a feature that was used much, but it turns out a lot of shields actually use that, like GPS shields, all sorts of like GSM shields, also all that kind of stuff that's like a little bit more complex, uses UART to communicate. So I previously had that on an M2 port, which actually also supports serial, which I think is not that well known. And it's more of a hacker feature, like if you want to design your own product with that, that like you can plug in here. So I moved that from that port up to here, and stuff like that. You know, it's just small iterations, thinking about use cases and all of that kind of stuff. I added an optional footprint for a SIM card, for example. We can use LTE modules with this port as well, because it's named to B key. Yeah, lots of stuff. I added a little jumper for the analog TV output, which I never used, but I think some people, like, you know, Emily Online, Emily from Twitter uses a lot of like old TVs, and I think it's cool to hack with that. So like I want to at least offer some way to access that.
I use that a bunch.
Yeah, cool.
Nice.
So that's like for you people, this is there. So you can at least like, because it's just on wire and ground, you know, so you can just solder a little wire to there.
Is that a full-size HDMI, or is it the middle one?
Yeah, that is all.
Nice.
Like I try to be full size with everything,
Nice.
except for the micro. Yeah, it's one of the most annoying parts, in my opinion, of the Pi 4.
I totally agree.
So yeah, I really wanted to have that there. And yeah, you can switch. Okay, now, because I'm not already telling you about it, here's a little switch, so you can switch between USB host mode and focus. Come on.
Oh,
And USB device mode, goes to the micro USB port. And you can actually power this whole from standard USB ports or standard USB 3 ports that have 900 milliamps or more, which most PCs and laptops do nowadays. And I'm currently working on a little bit of software, so you can use this in a similar way, like you can use an Arduino dev board. So like attach it to a computer, get a serial port, get a USB mesh storage device for like transferring code files and stuff like that.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's all very like geared towards rapid prototyping. Yeah.
Cool.
That's an update on that. I have one more like makery product. Not product. Sorry. I'm thinking too much in this
Everything's
shit
a
at the moment.
product.
It's not a product. It's super uncommercial and totally just for shits and giggles. I bought this camera, which I think looks really freaking cool. I have actually no idea if it's actually really old or if it's like a more recent fake, but it's a fake of a Leica 2, which is like really old. One of the first Leica cameras that ever existed. And this is a fake produced by a Russian company called Zoki. And the Leica 2 was a very popular model to like knock off. And I just liked it for how it looks and all these little knobs and stuff like that. And yeah, I just enjoyed it as a product, as an object. And I do have a plan. So like I recently saw a YouTube video of a maker that replaced the film cartridge of these old cameras with a Pi and a camera module. And that was cool. And I thought one thing that could be improved, use the HQ camera, use the older model of that little, like the first Pi camera that came out, which has quite crappy quality compared to the HQ camera. And I wanted to use a Pi 4 because it's a little bit more performant. So I thought, like, why not use a compute module 4 for that as well? And yeah, this is actually taking apart already. Don't worry, this is not like an artifact of time or something. It's really, you get dozens of these on eBay. And I'm not sure if it's even like properly old. So I kind of degutted it. It's already quite, took most of the stuff out that was easy to take out. I did non-destructively, and I would like to keep it that way. Like, I haven't destroyed it so far. And yeah, there's plenty of space in there. And the only thing I'm currently like is a bit fine without like an extra lens piece in here to like adapt to the sensor size. It was in tests quite okay, but I don't know if you can read that. No, you can. It's a 5 centimeter or 50 millimeter focal length, and this is quite zoomed in, which is quite useless for like daily photography or like. I thought it might be a nice second camera, you know, for streams, because you could actually make it a wireless camera.
You just have to place it very far away in the room, then you can see yourself again.
and it's also like maybe like this. But yeah, I wasn't sure about that, so maybe I need like a lens piece to like adapt it to a different focal length or something. I don't know anything about that, to be honest, so much like about lens building. If anyone has any clues there, what like could be an easy way. Or maybe I go on eBay again, look for a different lens for this, but this was like a kind of special model, like this whole golden brass kind of stuff, and I don't think I will find a different lens with the same look. But yeah, maybe I have a look at least. And I'm not sure if this is also true. It says like Kriegsmarine Eigentum, supposedly some World War II stuff. But honestly, I think this is total garbage. It's just like to make it look historical and stuff like that. Because you get that same model with like different divisions of World War II stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I think they just do that as a.
I'd imagine it wouldn't be as shiny if it was that
pretty
old.
thing. Yeah, that too. Like it. Also, the material used for like the film carrier. It's a little roll thingy, and this is polyester. And I don't think they had, at least not mass-produced cheap polyester for like knockoff cameras in that time area. So, my guess, if it's old, like maybe 60s, 70s. But still, it looks really cool. Although I don't really care about that. Like, I don't want to destroy something historical, so it's good that it's not. Yeah. That's it from my side, I think.
Nice. So how do you, I'm just back to the boxes again. How do you order 1,200 boxes and hope for the best? Like, did you get some samples before all of that, or?
Yeah, so these are the samples, actually. So I got 4 units made, PCBs made by my manufacturer. I sent the box samples to my manufacturer so they can like demo package them for me. And yeah, this is all happening in Shenzhen, which is then super easy because like they just have to ship it a couple doors away and not like around the world. So kind of lower carbon footprint, just doing it all locally, not locally at my place.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that a manufacturer you had to find yourself, or did the company doing the other things kind of make a referral?
I just asked them if they were interested in that. I produce with MakerCast, which is they've specialized in PCBA mostly. They don't do PCBs. They also have a partner for that. I don't really do any with that, so they just deal with that side, and I tell them my specs. For the packaging, I approached someone. I just searched around on Alibaba for like some paper packaging companies and got a couple quotes. That's how I got that, and then asked them to ship to my manufacturer there.
Cool.
Nice. Is this printed on there, or is it laser engraved?
Yeah, that is printed. So I wanted some like recycled packaging. Like typically when they do prints, they actually apply. So if you actually take that apart. Oh, I broke it.
Oh no!
This is not important. These are not going to any people, but I think it's interesting to see how these look when you get them actually. So this is.
Oh.
I think they die cut that stuff,
Yeah,
or like have a rolling cutter. This is like not laser cut, definitely. So they have like a cutting pattern that they do, and then it's printed on. But like very often they just apply a foil actually. So like it's printed on the foil and then apply the foil on here, which makes the product not recyclable anymore because it's like a paper plastic mixture, and I didn't like that. So I asked for a craft board. This is what this is called. Yeah, which is just plain and there's no plastic film on here. So it's just, single color print on here.
Cool.
Yeah, that's all that I
Yeah,
got.
the first time that I saw the box, I thought it was much bigger, and then you opened it in a subtweet, and I was like,
a tiny thing.
"What's going on? How big is the?" Yeah, yeah, cool. All right, let's jump to the next person. Shall I just select bitluni, or do you want to pass it on?
Let's go with bitluni.
Yeah, let's go with bitluni.
Okay.
Then you're done with it again.
Yeah, so the last time I even hosted, I think where I was on the MakerCast, I showed one of those here, which is the Raspberry Pi Pico or RP2040 Power over Ethernet board. So it's a microcontroller with Ethernet and Power over Ethernet capabilities. And I think we had like a version that wasn't working. It was like quite buggy, and we tried to figure out stuff. And now we got everything. We figured out what was wrong there. There was like a diode that prevented the power stuff to turn on and so on. And since then we fixed all the stuff that was wrong, and now it's powering from USB. You can maybe plug in an accessory here, like it's an Adafruit display, and start a small demo. So we found quite a few like small bugs. So the initial design, because that's really not, I didn't like almost nothing of that whole stuff. So basically we had like a dozen of streams. The initial design was by Christos Bogduino, who is also in chat right now, and he helped me with that. So he did all the design, and then I started to assemble it and debug it on stream, and we had like a dozen of streams, and all the super genius people on stream helped me to figure out what all the small bugs were that prevented this thing from working. And this was like even the first version, so we happened to figure out everything out. So there is like a small piggyback, like a small backpack IC there, and like D plus and D minus was flipped. There is like a tombstone resistor that's bridging, and some minor stuff, or like hair botch wires, like very thin botch wires to flip the Ethernet IC connections around, so we can use the Raspberry Pi, the RPIO stuff to communicate quickly with the Ethernet. And we even managed we used the code. Oh, I forgot the person that, what was the name? I will link it later. There was already a code that uses this IC from this is Microchip that does it the Ethernet part, and we took the code and compiled it with the SDK and tweaked it a little bit with overclocking of the RP2040 to 200 megahertz, so we are able even to connect with 100 megabit uplink. But I think the most that we did was like 1 megabit or something. So 1.5 megabit was. We didn't like super test it for now, but actually it was working, and with an 100 megabit uplink. And I can maybe show the newer version. So this had only like minor issues, a few things that we shuffled around. Also, like the labels are so small, they are not readable, or at least like JSC wasn't able to print them readable. They're like 1 millimeter across or something. The font height was like 1 millimeter. And this is one I can show. This one I can power from the Ethernet. So this is like the new version. There are no bodges anymore, and there is only like one thing. That's what Timon also was talking about. There will be another version, but there are like only minor tweaks. We used like a pin for the I2C. There's like the stemma connector, and we used a pin for I2C that's not default with the ones that I used for Arduino extension for the RP2040. So I have to have currently my own board definition, with the only change that the default I2C pin is a different one. And then it basically appears, that was like one of my intentions, that it appears as a Raspberry Pi Pico. So you don't have to change anything with your code, maybe some of the pins that you use for your hardware projects, but usually you will basically use it like an Raspberry Pi Pico, and you can then even power it from the Ethernet. So one thing that we also, I'm still a little bit worried about the heat that we produce, because power over Ethernet comes with like 60 volts, and you have to buck it down to step down to 3.3 volts, and that's basically like a huge task for this, like it's like 6 millimeter square millimeter IC there, the buck converter is like 6 square millimeters, and that's getting like 70 degrees hot or something.
So tiny.
Yeah.
So which PoE standard are you using? Just standard PoE or PoE Plus?
For the first version, I thought, okay, PoE Plus would be even more amps and more heat. And I thought, let's just get the minimum working. So let's just start with the standard PoE, because the difference is, how much do you want to power from this? Okay, you can power with the default definition. You can power like basic sensors that you get from other fruit. You can power all this already. And you wouldn't be able to power many LEDs or something. So the difference is like from 10 LEDs to like 20 RGB LEDs that you could power, or 30 RGB LEDs that you could power from the Plus version. So there is not like a huge amount. I wouldn't do it anyways. So I thought, okay, let's just start, and you can use this device, basically build it somewhere like in a shielded case, or where no Wi-Fi is available. So that's the only use case that I can think of, is you need a reliable connection to the Ethernet or something, to a huge display, or maybe you use multiple of those, like 20 or 40 or something. Then you don't want to have like 40, maybe you want to take like a special grid of ESP now or something, but you will get like problems if there is some interferences that you don't want. And basically that's the case for, and the power is a nice to have. I wanted to have something special that wasn't there before, and that's like this project. And it's working right now, so we could ship it if we want to. The only problem is, like, we changed this design we even switched the flash IC here. So this is a different one to this one here. This is a smaller version, but the part shortage is horrible. So if you plan to, I want like 1,000 pieces or 500 pieces, I want to manufacture right now, and then we do the plans, and then we want to submit the order, and the parts are gone, and then you have like next available batch is then in 2022 or something, and then I have to plan around and maybe change the footprint or anything. So we even changed a few parts on the second version here, and they are already gone or something. The flash is available. I like this version here, but like the LAN IC is already gone. It was like available for maybe a day in beginning of August or end of July, and now the next time it's available directly from Microchip is like in end of October or something. So there is no way to plan ahead properly, and I think what I might do next is basically set up a Kickstarter campaign or Indiegogo or whatever, and just say how it is. We ship it as soon as it's available with the current parts, probably in 3 months or something, and because the design is ready, but the hard work starts, like mentioned before by Timon as well. You need to have some software because the hardware isn't enough. So it's you can nobody, the parts are so expensive already that like the BOM cost is 15 euros or, so, or something with assembly, and nobody would buy a Raspberry Pi Pico that's like 10 times the price. So yeah. The added value is like, I don't know, for like super fans or something.
I think it depends on who you're selling it. I think it depends on who you're selling to. I think there are some people who will pay that. I mean, it's a very interesting product for sure.
Yeah, but I struggle to do the next step with like setting up the Kickstarter campaign or anything, and then just go with it, because then I'm committed and I have to ship. I don't want it to be accused to build a home or something from the Kickstarter money or anything. And it's basically, you can plan ahead currently. So I would have like to like, the minimum is like 500 pesos, and I would have to like pay from my own pocket like 9,000 euros or something to get the parts alone that might be short when the Kickstarter is finished or something. So, but
so just buy everything now.
Sorry?
Just buy everything now. Just order everything and then hope that it comes, and then you can plan with the parts that you have.
Yeah, but I don't know if I want to commit with like. So I don't have the spare money right now. I can admit it, because I also want to like buy a new home, and then I don't have any spare money for like all that stuff that I have in my background. I wouldn't like buy another 8 projectors or something to do a project or anything. So basically, that's quite a commitment for me to like spend 8,000 or 10,000 euros for a fun project. So I want to like see if people even would buy it on Kickstarter, and like get the cash first, and then put the order, and then let's see, in 3 months it should be available. We could shuffle a few parts around, so we are not like tied to a specific flash IC. There are several ICs in different packages. We have some spare real estate on the board. The current board is there's even like more space left. Okay, we have some parts here. There's all that area is like for heat distribution. So we have like 4-layer board, and you can see there are many. If you can see it, I don't know, many wires all around to distribute all the heat from the buck converter. But basically, we have still some real estate left, and when we finish like the Kickstarter, then we can like commit the final design with the parts that are available, and order the parts right at this moment, and go for it. So that's I think that's all. Yeah,
I think it's a great plan though. Like, just, everyone has that issue right now. Like, parts are just not available. Like, nobody is a different boat. Like, you're not doing something bad or anything. Just being upfront about it and telling people like, hey, it could be 3 or maybe even 6 months. And to be fair, like, most hardware projects will need at least 6 months to actually ship. So like, even with 3 months, I would say you're very fast there.
Yeah, three months Elon time.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
Valve time.
since you offended since you offended the Elon Musk gang, I can't offend the 3D printing community now by saying that it's totally valid for any cubic to drop a product on Kickstarter. Boom, I said it. Okay.
No, I didn't offend Elon Musk fans because I'm one myself. I'm always optimistic, and that's a cool thing.
Okay. Right. So let's maybe pass on to someone who's
Yes.
totally 3D printing with resin.
Ooh,
How about that?
Yeah, Matou.
Since I did the burn on the community. But yeah, no.
Who might that be? Oh, it just went off. There we go. Yeah, some LEDs.
Yay.
Oh, is it working? It is. So, yeah, I have actually forever wanted to create some 3D printed jewelry ever since I learned that there is a transparent 3D printing resin, which I find super cool. And then, of course, if it's transparent, there have to be LEDs inside. And yeah, so I actually wanted to do this project in June already, but some things got in the way, and yeah, people are commenting on my washing machine. And that's one of the things, because in June I actually moved to a new town, and my LED just went off again. So in June I moved to a new town, and I still haven't all of my furniture with me. So I'm currently using this washing machine as my workbench because I don't have anything else. And then I realized, well, okay, I'm talking about resin 3D printing, and maybe for the video I could explain a little bit what resin printing is. So in June I actually did a video that was dedicated to explaining resin printers. And now in July I finally got around to make the 3D printed jewelry. And let's see if we can get the LED to turn on again. So what I did, there we go. Come on. Come on, little LED, you can stay on. There we go. Let's see if I can zoom in and focus on that.
Oh, yes, you can.
I can see the pores on your arm.
Okay, but the LED is off again. Maybe I should have turned on autofocus, but here we go. No, it's too far. So yeah, so I realized, hello, oh, to zoom out again. I realized that making transparent resin actually clear transparent isn't super easy. So because yeah, when it comes out of the printer, it's still wet. Like the resin is. Whoa. Hello, cat. Okay, so one advantage of my new workshop is that the cats have access to it,
Kitty.
which is great during live streams. So this is Ragnar. He wants to say hi.
Paying
And-
the cats.
Aw.
Cat tax.
Yeah. So I started 3D printing these crystals, and I realized after they are washed with isopropyl alcohol and then cured with ultraviolet light, then they
This is
aren't
cheating.
they aren't that clear transparent anymore. And I wanted to find a way how to get them to be clear transparent.
So you dip them in catnip?
Let's go.
Yeah, they love catnip, but there's nothing of that around at the moment. Yeah, so
I wonder if they hide the glowing things behind the washing machine. Oh, there you have it. Okay.
yeah, I got it back. So I made a few experiments with this. So I have a bunch of test prints here, where I tried different methods of making it actually transparent. And the one to get it most, or the easiest one is to get it most transparent, is to coat it with 3D printing resin, which worked quite well. So I just took the same resin that it's printed in and brushed it on, and then cured this with UV light, and that actually now looks pretty transparent. The surface isn't perfect, but it looks pretty cool. But then I realized that actually not coating it and putting an LED inside when it's still not completely clear also looks pretty cool. So yeah, that was what I have been up to these last 2 months, besides moving and trying to figure out where to work. And I've been making 3D printed jewelry with LEDs.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
So, do you already know why it turns off all the time? Is this like a contact thing you're working on, or?
Yeah, it's that's the mount that it's on here. That's not the final version. That was just something I threw together and 3D printed. That's not working very well. I'm working on a better one because I promised some of these crystals to my patrons, and yeah, I'm working on something that doesn't turn off all the time.
Which brand of resin are you using?
Which brand? Wait, let me get the bottle. I have it here.
3D printing resin.
Oh, it's Prima Creator. I have the gray one here, but that's the transparent green, and yeah, it's actually becoming hard to find this. Where I ordered it before, they don't have it anymore.
Oh no.
But I'm hoping there's other resin that looks like that.
I think so. I mean, the transparent green is something you get more often.
Yeah, green and red are really common, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. I know they're not all made equally, which is why I asked. Sometimes they, like, the more the closer they lean to like a white transparent like glass, the more they tend to yellow. So some colors hide that yellowing a lot better than others. So I think green and red are two that kind of get away with it. Blue, sometimes it ends up looking kind of like a not quite greenish blue. So as I was curious, because some of them, like I said, are a lot better at it.
Yeah, so this color looks great, actually. I also have the red transparent resin, but I haven't tried it yet.
Nice.
It's awesome.
Cool. Let's jump to the next person, then, I guess, but
Yes.
very nice. Cool print.
Oh, so that's me. So yeah, this isn't new, but like this is my own, like using these are resin printed keycaps,
Yes.
and you can see here it like looks really red, but you can kind of see what he's talking about, where it's like it's not really transparent, and I had the same kind of issues with it. But in my case, I just needed it to be red. I didn't really care if it was transparent or not. I made these en masse last year when getting things from China took a really long time. I have a bunch of resin printing stuff because of that whole project, and now all that stuff is sitting in a box because it was all in my garage. Because resin printing, I think, is fantastic. It's just also really messy. So you kind of need a sacrificial area to destroy. Like the top of your washing machine, or in my case, I have an old workbench in my garage, and my wife is pretty sensitive to smells. And some resin, some more than others, can like smell really bad, and filters and things like that help a lot. But she has like superhuman smell, so she can smell it if it's in the house at all. So I just keep it in the garage. What I've mostly been working on, I just checked out of curiosity. I haven't been on since November last year. But there was a lot of uncertainty as to whether or not the events I do things for, like DEF CON, was going to be virtual or in person again this year. And they ended up being in person. Today's the last day for DEF CON. I'm not there because Las Vegas is reeling with the Delta variant. It's not really the crowd that's at DEF CON that I was concerned about. It's just Las Vegas as a whole. If you've been there, being concerned about other people's well-being is not a common thing in Las Vegas. But I did do things this year, or I wouldn't be here. So I think last time I was on here, and I was just showing this off. This is the SAO badge, or the shitty add-on badge, simple add-on badge. The whole reason this exists is just so you have a way to display your add-ons when you get them, so that you don't have a badge dedicated to them. Because sometimes badges look really cool and neat, kind of like our badge right here. but these aren't usually designed to be powered on all the time. I mean, they're battery powered and things like that. So this has battery power so that you can wear it as a badge, but it also has USB-C power so that you can plug it in indefinitely. And it's
Nice.
it's a really simple design. All it is a step down converter to take the 5 volt coming out of USB and knocking it down to 3.3 volt using a AZ1117, which is a super common part. But I made a revision of it this year to address some things that through just casual usage I'd found that I didn't really like about this. It's got an artistic design on it, but the art isn't the point of this. The point of this is whatever you're sticking on top of it. So with all that in mind, this is a panel of the new revision, and it uses all the exact same parts. So I just called it 1.1. I also didn't put a year on it this time because I've learned that can be a mistake.
Is it halftone? Is it halftone?
It is. I'm using this
Pretty
is
cool.
just
Sweet.
dots. My camera's usually pretty okay about it, so you can actually see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just gets smaller,
Nice.
but from a distance, it creates this nice gradient look.
Looks
And,
gorgeous.
It's replicated, and the way I got the pink is this is not anything unique. All PCB will use any color, but they typically use for their solder mask as a silkscreen color. So, but if you're familiar with PCBs and the colors and things like that, green, yellow, and red are transparent. They're not. The light will pass through them, which is what gives us the. Let's see. Do I have a? Actually, yeah. So this is a Carolina Con badge. I did not make this badge. This was actually one that was sent to me. But it shows off some pretty neat elements. And the reason why it's bright red right here and dark red right here is because of the absence of copper or not. But being able to tell there's copper under it's really important. So when you take that same color and you put it on top of white, which is completely opaque, it comes out pink. This is not something I discovered. The person who tipped me off to it was Thomas Flummer. He's also another badge maker. I've got something of his around here somewhere. But basically, he put together like a little keychain that's kind of like a reference for all the different colors that different fabs have. It's driving me nuts. I thought it had on my desk. It's probably sitting over there. Oh, it is. Aha! So he made these and gave them out at SuperCon. And this one doesn't have an exact example of it, but he did have badges where he had made them that showed the different color stuff. So I had been wanting to use that for like a really long time, ever since I saw it, but I kind of just needed the right project. And this is kind of just a fun thing. But the changes I made to this one incorporate something that I actually borrowed from this badge. You see it's got like what it looks like a price tag cut out. And what's really great about this is the lanyard hole, but it doesn't just work on everyone's favorite lobster claw. It works on everyone's most hated alligator clip. I hate alligator clip
That's
lanyard.
smart.
But with this, it actually works really, really well. And they're also conveniently, alligator clip lanyards are the cheapest kind of lanyard you can get. So if you ever need to buy them in quantity, they're a lot cheaper than getting the lobster claw clips. Even if they're dual, which is what this takes advantage of. It still has the standard M4 holes if you want to create a mount for it. And this is also still an M4 hole if you want to do that. I also moved the USB-C to the bottom instead of being on the side. That was primarily because of I had seen how some people have been using this. And it kind of just created like a little bit of awkwardness with it. So I moved it to the bottom. Other than that, it's identical parts. The only part that I changed is instead of using a 0805 LED for the power indicator, I used a 1206. And that's honestly a selfish reason, because I have literally thousands of 1206 or similar size LEDs. So the other things I worked on was let's actually turn this on. Is the child SAO, which is this one right here, and they made a smaller version of my Fat Pikachu. Ooh. But I used random flashing RGBs for them. This one was actually a real big experiment with 4-layer designs. If you've seen my work in the past, I'm trying to find it because I just looked at it. Like I have done stuff with 4 layers before, but that was with blocking light. In this case, I'm using it to get different colors. So the brown outlines and things like that are different copper layers. His eyes is a copper layer under the first layer. So, and of course, there's a little bit of halftone art on the back.
What's the shiny part? What's the chrome?
This is just Hazel, so it's the hot air soldered stuff.
Cool, very cool.
It doesn't really tarnish. It'll show fingerprints and things like that. But some ideas that I had about it, and the reason why I chose this is that you can take like a Brillo pad or something like that, and just if you masked off the areas you don't want to accidentally hit with the Brillo, you can just lightly graze it, and it'll give it like a brush metal look pretty easily. So that's something I didn't ended up using. In fact, this was mostly a success. The only slight failure is that so this is a 1.2 millimeter board because I was trying to make the other copper layers as visible as possible, and unfortunately, it's just a little too thick. You can see his coat's a little lighter than, it's like a little darker, but not really. But there actually is a copper layer that's supposed to be a little bit more visible. I think if I had gone with 1 millimeter or 0.8, it'd be a little more obvious. There's not really a way for me to show you, not on camera, but you can definitely see the little layers. If you happen to have one, you can poke it up, hold it up to light, and you can see some of the airs poking through. I sold these mostly on my Tindy store. They sold out there, and they were at DEF CON, and from what I heard, they sold out the first day. So that's nice. Pretty cool. And this was just HackerBox wanted to do something with me. Like they wanted to use existing stuff I already had. So, but the original Fat Pika was like really big. It was gigantic. It was literally twice the size of this. And I was like, well, we've kind of learned some things since then. However, as friends of mine have pointed out, now it looks like Pikachu has udders. So we just call this udder the Pikachu cow now. So it looks worse when it's not soldered. But
need some half-tone red PCBs now.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what I've been working. That's most of what I was working on. A small personal project I was working on. Not this, but this is the original board. In fact, actually, it has an original prototype top to it. And while the Arc Badge project was a successful project in a lot of ways, I definitely wanted to take it and apply some lessons learned to it. One of those lessons being the kind of LEDs we used. And because of my camera, the refresh rate is going to be pretty obvious. Let me kill my light real quick. This will be a little bit more obvious with the light off. But it's reasonably bright, but it's not super bright. Like it's bright enough to get the cosplay effect of you put it on your shirt, it'll shine through your shirt. But what I really wanted was something a lot brighter than that. So with that, we did a board redesign, kind of just as a forefront project. So this is a prototype of the original, but it's basically identical. And I just bought my mic. And this is the new board. This was just a forefront project. I never intended to sell these. I'm still not going to, actually. But we've only made 2 of them so far. Here's a final, more or less finished one with an Adafruit LiPo converter hanging out the back, so I didn't have to eat through so many AA's. This is using now addressable LEDs, which I had avoided like the plague in the original project because in badge life, they're kind of we have a love-hate relationship with addressable LEDs because if they're not stored correctly and if they're not prepped correctly before assembly, they pop like popcorn. So you could have a board that is like a third of the LEDs are bad. And a perfect example of that was when I made the two. There's this one, which is my personal one, and one for Wire, who does all the software for me. His was perfect, no problems whatsoever. Mine, a third of the LEDs were dead. They all popped, and they were all in vacuum sealed containers and everything like that. So I was a little pissed about it, to be perfectly frank. But it's a hell of a lot brighter than its cousin, than its, its father.
That's very nice.
For relative brightness, this is only 25% of the maximum brightness the NeoPixels can be. So it is really, really bright. I put it together for DEF CON, which, like I said, unfortunately, I did end up having to cancel going to. So the software on this is basically just like a copy paste of what was on here for the most part. We didn't really make any changes to it, which was so actually there's like a couple of like weird bugs with it that I haven't addressed at all. Like some of the lighting is a little screwed up, but like after I had to cancel it, I was like, never mind. This is a cool project. And it's the main reason I did it is it was mostly it's just called ArcBad Redux, and it's what I like to call the hindsight is 2020 version of the badge, going back and changing things. I actually can't make this badge in large scale, so if anyone happens to want to buy one, sorry, because of the power, the voltage regulator is out of stock for the next 68 weeks. The microcontroller that we're using is out of stock for 52 weeks. It's using, the reason why I was even able to make this is it's actually made up, with the exception of the PCBs, it's made up of failed projects or projects that never saw production. Even the NeoPixels, I had already had them, even though those aren't actually hard to get a hold of. But I had considered doing another badge for DEF CON this year, basically the same bomb, just a different look. But I ended up just doing that one, and I only this is the third board. I only have 5 of these. I ordered them from JLC, and basically I'll put up the plans on my Hackaday page at some point, and with the code and everything like that. Once we get it a little cleaned up, I want the animations to be a hair smoother than they are right now. But other than that, it's mostly just planning for 2022 on my end. This has been a busy year for me outside of badge stuff and electronic stuff. We're doing a lot of renovations on my house, and my day job is extremely busy. So I've had one of those years where it's like, I'm gonna do this. I'm finally gonna sit down and learn this. And actually, one example of those was I was gonna sit down and finally learn how to code these goddamn microchip PICs I have, because I have dozens and dozens of different PIC microcontrollers. When I finally went to go sit down and do it, turned out that Microchip completely changed their assembly. They changed their assembly language. So all the tutorials out there that have been up for like 20 plus years or more are completely invalidated. And in doing so, I accidentally stumbled across a lot of really pissed off programmers. They were like, well, I guess I'm going to stop using PICs now because I'm not learning a new version of assembly. But yeah, they changed their compiler completely for it. So, and I don't know enough about it to have an opinion about it. I was just like, well, shit, because I couldn't figure out why none of my demos were working. But it's been a busy year. But I've had the same problems everybody else has with shortages and motivation and things like that. But doing a little bit here and there has kept the fire going. So, and seeing the work that people have been doing that's been showing off at DEF CON has been really cool. I've been actually getting a lot of pictures from friends who are there saying like that they're seeing my stuff, people with my add-ons all over the place. And that's actually that's really inspiring to me. I really like it when I really like seeing people liking my work or appreciating it. So, yeah. So other than that, it's Same old, same old. Just keeping at it. Keep my head down and keep grinding. Oh, and I get to explain. Let me 1 second. I want to share a funny story because everyone has to enjoy my misery on this one. The people in here have likely saw the tweets when I did it, but I found out the hard way what happens when you take a drill to solder paste. Hold on, I had it up here. Where'd it go? I must have closed it out. Hold on a second. But basically, so I had 2 tubs of solder paste, and one of them had like dried out to a point that I have never seen before, and the other one was just contaminated from like many attempts to revive it over the years with various fluxes and so on and so forth. And the really, really, really chunky one, I couldn't get it to come back, which was really unusual. But part of why it was so difficult to get it to be the consistency I wanted was because of the, frankly, just because it was just too thick. So let me share this aftermath. That is the aftermath. This is what my bench looked like after the fact. I am still cleaning up solder paste. I'm still finding it in places. There are places that are halfway across my office where it's like a little like bead of it flicked onto the wall or something.
I love how you like wonder what went wrong in this picture, and then sometime you start noticing the little detail in the picture. Like,
yeah, the longer you look, the worse it gets.
Wait, what's going on with the drill bit?
So, okay. So this was one of those things where I had actually, this was not I took the drill and put it in the bucket and like it instantly splashed everywhere. Like I had been doing this for like a good 15, 20 minutes. And my daughter came into my office. She'd just come back from the park and was talking to me. And when I went back, I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. And I stopped holding the bucket. And as soon as I did, it just went. Like, it was like as soon as I saw it start to like come up towards the surface, I already knew I fucked up, and it just exploded everywhere,
like a car accident in slow motion.
My first reaction was shit. My second reaction was, oh, thank God it didn't get in my eyes, and then my third reaction was to take pictures of it.
I feel like you got to wire it up. Like, what can you make blink with that? Sure.
Yeah, that shirt and those pants were instantly trashed. I don't know if you've ever spilled flux on yourself, like I have many times, but that does not come off.
Yeah, difficult.
It's extremely tacky. The only thing that really gets it off of your skin is rubbing alcohol. And actually, depending on the kind of flux, you might have to go to something a little harsher. But it's a total disaster, and it was a lesson learned for me personally. And then to add insult to injury, the reason why I was doing it was because buckets of solder paste are expensive. They're like $40. I went to the store locally that I'm lucky enough to be able to buy it from, and someone had mislabeled the bucket on the internet, so I bought a $40 bucket of it for $10. So I wasted all of that solder paste and ruined clothes and spent hours cleaning up my mess for absolutely no reason whatsoever. It was a disaster, but I like sharing my failures because I think they're hilarious. So that should set you up a good guy. You can only go up from there.
Yeah. So, and if anyone has missed that, then there are links to our socials in the description. So go and check out every Twitter account and YouTube channel. Subscribe, follow everyone. Yeah.
Do that.
How do I
and
segue
don't
out
forget,
of this?
like, did everyone put up like all their social media, like, you know, the special kinds of social media?
The OnlyFans? Nice. Well, you can try OnlyFans and then Twinkle Twinkie.
I mean, just go on there and then just like sell nothing. Just sell nothing.
Just give it out for free.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. I think it's time for our guest to talk about himself now. That's the best segue I can give you, Guy.
Yeah, I can talk about myself. I'm an only child, so I'll talk about myself until the battery on this camera dies. No, thanks again for having me. As
I could
Dave
actually
just
do
said.
better.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
I could have told everyone like how I got you here. But yeah.
Would you like to?
Do that too.
Let's tell that story.
Would you like to?
That we're not allowed to talk about.
So technically it would just be me talking about a project that I did, and then you were talking with me to me about this, and then I clicked your profiles and checked out your Hackaday account, and then I saw that you're a YouTuber as well. So yeah, that's how I got you into this. And
I think that means I was using Twitter. I think that means I was using Twitter correctly. If there is such a thing.
Yeah, very sneaky.
I'd say I played the game super well. I don't even do projects.
Well, you do, and they're pretty cool. So
thank you.
You're free to talk about all of them.
Yeah, thanks. I feel like I get to cheat a little bit because I've never been on before, so I get to pretend all of my projects are new. Although to be honest, everything I've put on my YouTube channel, I really only started doing, once we got locked down. So as of March 2020, that's when I decided. I've been doing these projects forever, but I decided like, no, so many of them I make just to make them, and I don't really use them, and I realized like that there must be some other reason, especially if I can't show my friends now. Like there must be some other reason to do this. So that's why I started documenting things, and I'm glad I did because it's been really fun, and I think the quality of my work has gone way up. But yeah, I'll dive right in. Actually, really quick, we were talking about not putting years on things. So this band is a very good band. They're called The World is a Beautiful Place and I Am No Longer Afraid to Die. That's the entire band name. But they put out these shirts for their 2020 world tour. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but you're not going to be able to read it. But every date, so it's a world tour. You can see it's a big tour. But every date, it just says postponed down the entire shirt.
Aww.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a nice one.
Yeah, I thought that was a good use of merch, I guess.
What's
but yeah,
the music style?
It's rock. It's kind of heavy. Yeah, it's I would call it modern emo, if I dare use that word. I don't know. Someone will get mad about it.
That's not a positive description of music.
I disagree. I disagree. I'm sure there's some other
That's
folks
fine.
out there who disagree. Also, I hope that band would agree. But they're very good. You should check them out regardless. That's it. I just wanted to, the band just paid me to come on, so that's all I got.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Now, so I want to talk about one of my older projects. It's really the first one that I did a video on, and I'm talking about it first because I'm looping back around to it. I'm going to be doing a new revision that's totally different, but it's without further ado, it's kind of chunky. So this is the Keynote visualizer, and I'll make it do stuff in a minute. So some backstory, there's Wurlitzer, which is a company that makes keyboards, pianos, electric pianos, organs, all sorts of stuff. Made this thing in the 70s. Here, I'll show a picture of it. So they made this thing for teachers, piano teachers, to basically show students what they were playing in real time. So you would have this up above your piano while you were sitting at it playing. And I saw, so one of my favorite artists this guy Joey Dosick, and you're not going to hear the audio, but just skip ahead. Oh, I get the audio, and I can't hear anything now. But I saw this video, and I thought it was so rad. And this was the first time I saw something like a hardware, like something physical. And I was like, I need to have it. I need to make that. And so I sat down and kind of plotted it out. And so let me turn mine on now. This is unwieldy. All right. So also I'm going to play a song. And if you can guess what the song is by just looking at the notes, I'll give you $1,000. I'm not going to do that, but
Sure.
so yeah, so I have.
So it's not Wonderwall then.
What? Stairway to Heaven.
I take it back. I'm definitely not going to pay $1,000. That is absolutely correct. No, here, let's see if you can get the audio. I'll put it through my speakers here. It's the Crab Rave song. If you've seen, I don't know this.
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
I remember.
Oh, that took a minute. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I'm trying to be cool and young and on the internet, and so I know what that is. But
I'm in my mid 30s now.
Pieces
I don't
with
know anything anymore.
lightsabers. That's one of the hardest ones to play in Beat Saber, though.
Is it? I can imagine it is. It's a fast piece. But anyway, this doesn't just play that meme song. Oh, it's falling apart on me. It'll take any MIDI information via. It's got an ESP32 in the back here, and I'll hold up the back in a sec. And so, yeah. So basically, you can take if you're a keyboardist or if you have a recorded song with MIDI kind of mapped out, you could feed it from any computer, any phone, whatever that does Bluetooth. Directly to this, and it will show what you're playing. So, it's a just a modern take on the on that old tool, which is like it's one of those things that it's kind of pointless now, but it's beautiful, and I really admired that about
very
it.
cool.
So, yeah,
it's very cool.
Thank you.
Does the company still
quality
exist in some form?
So I think Wurlitzer does. They might be owned by someone else now. I think Wurlitzer's still around, but they do not make these anymore. Did you build it? Yes. So I built this out of wood. The original one is metal. Oh, now you get to see the notes for the Crab Rave song. No, that's mine here. Yeah, so the original is metal. And I'd like to say I chose wood because it's prettier. But honestly, I just didn't want to figure out how to make it out of metal because I really did want it to be as close as possible. But I'm actually happy I went with this.
Yeah, it looks good actually.
How'd you do the front face? Nice. It looks professional.
Perfect.
Like,
yeah.
Thank you. I'm really proud of this. So everything about this. Sorry, I'm going to keep switching back and forth. So everything in here and on here is actually derived from that photo that I ripped off of this website. So I took the photo down, I vectorized it, and then I went in and plotted out where all the holes are, so where all the notes were supposed to show up. And then, so for the front, what I did was I just took that vector and I took some translucent white acrylic. I masked off where the white is, where you can see, and so I did just spray paint, acrylic paint for the orange. And then the black is actually vinyl that I cut with a Cricut maker, if you know the.
Yeah.
And it came out, and I actually bought the Cricut just to do this, and it came out so good for like a consumer grade, hobbyist cutter. And I'm not going to spend too much time saying how great Cricut is because they've got their issues. And I'm sure
they are a crap company, but they make good hardware.
Yes,
we got all the.
I got some stories to tell there.
I would love to hear more. So I love my Cricut, but I totally on board with the like go screw yourself Cricketness. So I love how this thing came out. And then the back. So I'm gonna try to twist this around without breaking anything here.
Could you push it a little closer to your camera? Maybe we can actually see the vinyl stickers.
Yeah.
Could you make
You're still sharing your screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Zoom. Everyone just zoom in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it still looks just incredible.
And that's a crap paint
Really
job
good.
too, but it's still.
But on camera, it looks amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
For sure.
Yeah. So I love how it came out. So the back, I'm going to show you.
Yeah, the dirty stuff. That's the good stuff right there.
Yeah.
It's good.
super
It's really
clean.
nice wiring. That's like way neater than any box I ever made.
Thank you. This
I'm
took
gonna
like
show a
this
very
took
messy box in a second.
Several tries. So appreciate it. But what I'm most fond of here is all of these 3D printed chunks here. They all have little like tubes that come out to direct these are just RGB, WS2812s, whatever. But they're just a little round bulbs, and then I have a little 3D printed tube that kind of extends and focuses the light, so it looks like a circle, right, when it comes through the acrylic. But I used the same mapping of the coordinates of the LEDs, and I just fed them into OpenSCAD, whatever it's called, and all of these things just generated themselves, all the 3D printed parts. And so the front of it was like generated, the back of it was generated, and it came together and they just matched. Like, I know this doesn't happen very often, but it felt like magic. Like it really did come together and like match up perfectly. I did have issues with the LEDs themselves. I wired them poorly the first time. And so what I ended up doing was because I knew I was going to have to get in and out of this thing often. If you can see all of these, they're in like, it's a better example. They're in little sockets and they're screwed in. So there's little thumb screws here. So I can undo each little module here and pull it out. And so only a minimal amount is actually adhered to the.
Oh, that is way more forward thinking than I ever would have done. I would have.
It's not. I mean, I did it retroactively.
In place and dealt with it.
No, I did.
You learned from it, and you weren't too lazy to actually execute on the better idea. Kudos for that.
Thank you. Yeah. And then so the wood too. To talk quickly about that, I think it's walnut. I don't know, but
Beautiful.
So my big splurge purchase at the very beginning, it was like a panic splurge purchase at the beginning of the pandemic, was I bought a Shaper Origin, which is the handheld CNC thing.
That's a hell of a
That
splurge.
is a splurge.
It was a splurge. Listen, I know,
Love it.
I'm lucky to be in a position to be able to do something like that. Well worth it. I love the thing, especially because I live in an apartment building, so like I don't have room for really anything. So to have the Shaper and to be able to take it down into my building's boiler room, set up a temporary table, take it out, cut my thing up, pack up, and get out of there, and nobody knows the difference, has been kind of amazing. But this like, I just love how I did the kind of inlaid components there. I think it came out awesome.
Yeah. I was thinking for exactly that reason. Like, I mean, I do have like a workshop, which is kind of a luxury in the city, but I can't put like a full-on CNC router in here. So
yeah, that takes a lot of space.
it's really exciting. Like, it's not that expensive. Like, if you compare it to like a full like CNC router, like I think the price is pretty okay.
Yeah, I can't say enough about that thing. It's one of the few tools where it's like you look at it and it seems like it should be some Kickstarter that's inevitably just like vaporware, like it doesn't seem like it should be real.
Absolutely.
It seems it's so out there, and then it just delivers, I think, more than anything else I've heard. And
I get so many marketing mails from them. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's at some point I will have to give in.
Yeah,
I can't recommend it
legitimately
enough.
impressive.
Yeah. It's not perfect. It's not going to replace a CNC, but if you have limited
It's
space,
a different tool, of course.
Yeah. But I mean, I even used it. So I didn't have access to like a miter saw at the time. I used it to literally cut my edges here too. Like I did this entire plank as a DXF and just did a couple passes here and sawed it off, and like
Nice.
in a pinch, highly recommend it. So yeah, so I love that project. That project kind of more than anything I had done before, I felt brought together, you know, most skills that I have acquired at this point in my life. And really that was the one that I decided to kick off, like the documenting it YouTube thing. So I don't really have an in-depth build video on this one. I just have a demo of me using it. It is, I did some build logs on like Hackaday.io, but what I'm doing now, because I love it so much, I want to do a mini version where I just do it on a PCB. Right. Like now that I've added, I barely know what I'm doing with PCB design, but
none of us do. That's our secret.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. But I feel like it's something I feel like it's a good next project for me. And I'd love to even get like, I'll cut little pieces of the acrylic and maybe I'll just get like a transparent sticker made from like Sticker Mule or something. And I don't know, maybe make tiny cases for it. I think it'd be really fun to just have little ones sitting around.
So what was the controller board that's controlling the LEDs? I didn't get a real good look at it.
Sorry, yeah, it's an ESP32, and I think I used the feather, the Adafruit, the feather. So it's just the ESP32, and then I have got just a little logic level converter there, and this is, I think, the SparkFun. Ooh, it's blinking when I touch it. It's probably not a great sign. This is just a boost charge module.
I probably alter the frequency of the boost. Touch it.
Yeah, maybe that doesn't seem great. We'll work on that.
Shorting something. That's fine. Adhesive.
We'll work on that later. Yeah, and the software side was no cover. No, I decided I was done. I decided like from the front it looks great. I don't want to mess with it anymore. And I realized that it's like half done, but there's a lot of my yeah exactly. That's and I'll be honest, that's where a lot of my projects end. Especially if it's not something it was about the education, it was about the getting it done. This is not something I'm gonna have like used anywhere. Oh, what do you got?
Well, I got a box too, and there's no cover on the back.
All right,
and
good.
There's lots of Messel wires, and I can.
I mean, it's a way to show off that you did it yourself, so you can be proud of the DIY stuff inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I am, and that that's why. Yeah, open back adds to the vintage vibe. You guys don't encourage me. I appreciate this, but no, I should be finishing this stuff.
We're all the same, so we're just encouraging ourselves, and you're benefiting of that. So
I also think that implies like a certain amount of like that. Like I like what you said. Like I am done. This is me done. I'm moving on to something else now. And also I think it doesn't like, because a lot of times, like I mean with my projects especially, because like I'm afraid to show off anything I do because most of the things I've done have been for sale at some point or another, or will be eventually. And I'm always afraid that because I definitely have people who buy my stuff like every time, and I'm always afraid if I show something off that they're going to be like waiting to buy something that never materializes. So that's a very attractive notion. So I'm leaving the back off because no, we're done now. This isn't going to be made for somebody else. This is just for me. Right. And I'm a fan for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. I'm gonna keep going if nobody minds. I have some other stuff.
Of course.
Go for it.
So my latest endeavor has been, sorry, if it's not obvious, I'm melting in this room right now. If I pass out, I can't even see the chat, but if there's anyone I know in the chat, text my wife if you see me go down at any point. It's coming. It's real hot in here.
Oh no.
Get some water.
No, I should. I'll take a break after this. So if any of you remember T9 predictive text from your Nokia
Painfully,
days.
yes.
Yeah. So I have recently made a
you
macro pad.
Terrible person. You're a monster.
That's the reaction I want. That's the reaction I want. Yeah. So this has T9 baked in to the firmware. So it's an RP2040, and I wrote it in CircuitPython, which was really fun. And I want to talk more about that. But yeah, the whole idea is you drop your library of words on here, and it's in a specific format, but you take a list of words, convert it to my format. You just drag it and drop it on this file, or on this drive rather, and then as you type, it recreates T9 predictive text by kind of replacing the word very rapidly as you type. So I'll try to show it here.
Oh, cool! So you're using backspace keys.
Very rapid
Wow.
backspace injections. Here, and it's gonna be hard to like see me typing, but just trust me. So I'm gonna type hello, which is gonna be 43556, right? So 43556, and you can see it kind of thinking as it goes.
So
That's
I know
so
you made
cool.
this kind of as a shit post, but this is like actually majorly in the accessibility realm, though.
Yes. I'm glad. Thank you for saying that. Yes, it was. It very much. I have to be honest. I'm not going to claim that like I started out with this thing with accessibility in mind, because it was very much like one of those ideas where I was just kind of sitting to myself and I was just like, But yeah, about halfway through it, and I realized like you can actually kind of cook on this thing. I was like, oh my gosh, this is probably pretty useful to certain people. And I'm glad I realized that before I put the video out, because I did mention that in the video, and a few folks actually have reached out, and I've been able to send them some, which is really, really cool. So
awesome.
The people who've had family members with various mobility issues. So I'm hoping to get good feedback on that. But yeah, it's like the perfect balance of being mostly stupid, but doing the actual thing it's designed to do, which is kind of what I aspire to with most of my work. So I'm super happy with it. I will say I was a little not bummed, but so I this was my first PCB ever, and MacroPad's relatively simple, and I designed it to just drop on the maybe we can autofocus it now. Nah, oh, there we go. So this is the Pi Tiny 2040.
Oh, sweet.
And it has the same footprint as the Adafruit, the Cutie Pie 2040, which has the same footprint as the Arduino, the Zhao,
So,
which they have a few of them now. And I cannot claim to have planned to do that. I honestly just bought the Tiny 2040 and made it fit that. But they have all alternated being very out of stock, all three of them. But at no point have I not been able to get something that fits this since I designed it. So very, very lucky thing there. And I highly encourage, if you're going to build like using one of these modules, like choose that footprint, because there are a bunch of them now.
yeah, they're really good. Like it's the tiniest thing you can have, and it's like surface mountable. I love it. And also like that's one of the reasons why you should always go for like common footprints. Like don't make your own standard.
Right. Especially for me, like I'm brand new at this, and so I wasn't going to try. Like part of me was like, oh, is it weird to mount, like to buy someone else's module and mount it?
Not at all.
Should I just try to like make my own dev board? I'm very glad I didn't go that route, because I'm going that route for my next project, and I don't think I would have finished this if I had. So
yeah, and you even have a ready product now.
Yeah.
You stumbled like across a product that you can actually sell right now and probably help many people.
Yeah, and that's also why they exist. They're designed to be drop-in modules.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
there's no reason not to take advantage of it.
Yeah, and I'm glad. I wish I remembered which project made me feel okay about it. Someone was tweeting a similar thing, like a project that had used one, and like that's all the permission I need. Someone with slightly more Twitter followers than me doing it.
They do this in like
Yeah.
big production movies too. Like they just buy a teensy and slap it in some protoboard,
Yeah. I mean, even when you get above, like beyond the prototyping stage, like regattos and things like that, most of those really are just a module like this big that you just slap
I
on
know
the
some
board.
big industry people that just buy a standard Raspberry Pi Model B, slap it in the box, and be done with it.
Well, that reminds me of the Blacklist. I've watched it till the end of the 8th season now, and at one point they have a microchip sender, and it's the BMP 180 module, and just that. It was so confusing.
Why is a barometric
It says
sensor in there? Like, it makes no sense.
Remember that number. This is your personal ID. And I'm like, BMP 180. No, it's not.
Where did you get this from? They are all short now.
No.
What was the show? Was it Mr. Robot where they actually like paid people to make sure the tech was accurate? I think they.
Yeah, actually, a lot of the people who do the DEF CON stuff were our consultants on it.
That's pretty rad. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to say. Oh, I was gonna say I was a little bummed though. So I don't want to chill here, but I do. These are I do have some of these on Etsy, just like a limited thing. None of you have a link to my Etsy store, so that's how I cancel out the guilt of. I realized I didn't share it.
Tell us though.
Yeah, we're Tendy whores here, so it's okay.
Well, also I didn't ask for any links.
I'm not intending.
I already forgot about
I'm a CS shill.
I'll put it somewhere. I'm not even looking at the chat. I don't even have the YouTube thing. I'm really blowing this, but I think my indie store name. My Etsy store name is Esoteric Gadgets by Guy.
It will be sold out in a few minutes, probably.
Yeah.
All right. I would appreciate it. I'm curious. I just want people to play with it more than anything. But the other alternative. So everything is completely open source. You can buy the parts. I'm also selling just the PCB if you want to put it together yourself. It'll work with the Pico if you just want to buy any RP2040 board. You're gonna want more flash if your word library is longer. Like the 2 megabyte chip on the Pico is like won't I think it holds like 5,000-ish English words. But it'll work just fine. You can do it all yourself. And another alternative is so Adafruit put out their MacroPad. And it's so sexy. I love this thing. And the fun part with this, so I went back as soon as I got it and modified it slightly. Let's load it up here. So first of all, the LEDs are great. But when I type, I have the word that you're currently typing shows up on the little OLED. And so you can swap if you have multiple words that match your sequence that you've typed. They're all listed here, and you can just cycle through them.
That's very nice.
You can see that you're a software guy because your firmware is actually good.
Yeah.
Don't look too close.
Everyone else just does the minimum viable thing, and it's like fuck that shit, and then on to the next project.
Don't look too close, especially Python is not my go-to, but yeah, no, I'm super excited about it, and yeah, it will work if you buy theirs. I think it's out of stock, but it will work on this, and it looks awesome.
I could see someone taking that and like if you were a dedicated developer for a specific language, like just setting up their library for that language and just like literally using the MacroPad to do their job.
Yeah.
Like just like for like I use an Atreus keyboard. It's a 44 key keyboard, and whenever my coworkers look at it, they think I'm insane. But I'm like, no, like I'm barely moving my hands other than to type. But it's all about it's easy to use because all you got to do is just memorize a couple of layers, right. And once you give it like a month or so, you've memorized it. So if you set it, if you set up your own MacroPad for all that stuff, and with the combination of the T9 like thing that you put together, that could be a really powerful MacroPad actually.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I'd have to work out part of the issue I'm having is like I want to make it work with other languages, and the way I wrote the format of the library file that gets generated, it's not compressed in any way, it's not optimized in any way, and so if you add characters to the like language domain, so for English it's just 26, A through Z, right? But if you start to need accents or the enye or whatever, the size of the file that gets generated grows at not exponentially, but at a rate where the little 8 megabyte chips on here aren't going to be particularly useful. So I at some point I might like rethink that format and see if I can figure out a way to compress it. But it's tricky because the beauty of that file format and what I love about how this works is it's basically a serialized trie. If any of you studied computer science, you probably had to use a trie structure, which is just it's a tree where every node in the tree is a prefix of a word, starting with just single letters. And so it's optimized for searching. So to search for the presence of any word, the maximum times you have to jump from node to node is just the length of that word. So, if the word is 8 characters long, you just have to do eight little jumps. It's very efficient for searching. And so what I did was I build one of those structures so I use Kotlin as my language of choice. So I build the data structure there, and then I literally just traverse it and write out where all the node pointers are. I take those as absolute addresses in the tree, and then I just write a binary file where like each node is a list of addresses to its child nodes in the file itself. And so to parse through it, all you have to do is literally you go to an address, you read 2 bytes, and that's the next address you go to. And if there's a 0 there, that means that word's not there. If there's an address there, that means, okay, that prefix exists. Keep going, keep following it. And so I can leave that whole file I don't have to load it into RAM. I can just leave it as is serialized in Flash. And even with the speed, and I don't know a ton about how fast the SPI Flash is going with the RP2040, but even with that reduction in speed versus having it all in RAM, like you can get through 8 characters pretty quick. You're only reading, how many bytes? 8 times. I think each address is 24-bit. So you're reading a couple of bytes, really. You're reading under 20 bytes. And so that keeps the library completely decoupled from the actual firmware itself. And lets you, I love the RP2040s are great because there's no internal flashing. So they're sticking these monster chips on there. And so it's like I have all this space. I can store a massive list of words.
That's really elegant.
Yeah, nice. Thanks. Yeah, I really like how it came together. Esoteric gadgets. I don't know. I panicked. I was setting up the Etsy store. I was so excited. I got the PCBs in. I started putting stuff together. I got so excited to make the Etsy store, and I was like, "Oh no, what do I name it?" And then Etsy says, when you make the store, they say you're allowed to change your name once. And I was like, all right, fine. I'll just pick something, go with it, and then I'll change it when I think of the right thing. Famous last words. But yeah, I think it's kind of just like esoteric gadgets is kind of like stuff that not a lot of people are going to be interested in, but hopefully the people that are very interested.
Esoteric gadgets is what we all thrive on.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true.
It kind of sounds like you're selling magnets that you can have on a. Yeah, but
that's next.
No. Okay, good.
Open for name suggestions. Open for name suggestions for everything. All of my social media accounts, I have different handles. I'm really like, I got to get better at the internet thing.
I think esoteric gadgets is great. Actually, that's
a good name, man.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
Like, like I said, it describes what we all do, which
Yeah.
means one of us should have come up with it first. Frankly, we're embarrassed.
Also, I want to say, like, I love when
granted,
projects.
3 of these guys are Germans. I guess we don't get. They shouldn't have to become
Four.
English words.
Yeah.
No, I just want to say, like, I love when projects start out as this, like, kind of shit post and then turn out actually to be really useful. It's always the best kind of. Even Pionra, like I made this and really giggle when I put the HDMI port on there. Like it's like an Arduino. I put
That's
like
the
whole
best.
Pi on there, and then like, wait, it's actually useful.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
you, came out with, you announced that right when I was talking with someone. I was like, I really like one of those compute models, but I don't want to do with it. And then you released it. I'm like, well, shit. Now, now I have to buy them.
Yeah, I got excited too because I did. I'm sick of zeros. I'm sick of the Pi zeros, but I feel like the Model Bs are too big for a lot of what I want them to do. So I'm excited for that kind of middle ground.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks.
Yeah, you can send mine in the box that you ripped apart. You don't have to waste it.
Don't worry, those will all be new. Not long, hopefully. Maybe a month. I think it will take.
I'm excited. Really am.
Yeah, those are rad.
Thanks. Yeah, I hope people will do cool stuff. Sorry.
No worries. I do have one last thing. So the thing I'm building right now, which I'm trying to get better at not being so like secretive. But the thing I'm working on now, I want to solicit some help because there's one part of it I haven't figured out yet. So I hope I get the same reaction as I did. But does anyone remember hit clips?
Yes. They were
Yes.
god awful.
Well, I read about them. We didn't have them in Germany.
It was like the first minute or 45 seconds. It wasn't even the whole song, if I remember
It's
right.
a minute. It's a minute. What if I told you? No, I'm gonna make hit clips. That's the next thing.
Awesome.
So I there's an awesome article, and so many of my projects start with a random blog post from like 10 years ago. So I got to shout out. I think it's Michael Chufo. Chuftech goes by Chuftech with two zeros. Has a here. I'll just share it. Has a reverse engineering of a hit clip. So
Nice.
God damn, this is going to be a whole.
yeah. And so
I love shit like that.
yeah, and it's well written. It's beautiful. I knew exactly where to start. But here's what happened. So he wrote this article, and some people like on Reddit commented and helped refine things. They figured out how to get the audio off of the hit clip and play it. And I want to know in what world you don't follow up with figuring out how to get the audio on.
Yeah.
Like you guys in 2014, it's like they served up this alley-oop and they've just been waiting for someone to come along. And that's why I'm here. I'm gonna make some hit clips. So thank you to Chuftech for mostly the pinout is the useful thing for me. So I just hooked up my scope. I've got this like Frankenstein.
So what ended up being the size of the ROM for the hit clip?
I don't know. I don't need to know that. I'm gonna gut the whole thing. Sorry, I wish I'll send a link. I'll send a link out. You can read more into it. But I'm literally going to put my own, just put a microcontroller like a AT Tiny in here. Use the same pinout because what's cool about these is they just spit out this weird hybrid like it's like PWM'd audio. So they went through the trouble to convert it halfway to analog, but it's still very much digital. From what I understand, but based in the reverse engineering thing, it looks like the front end of like a Class D amplifier where you have two, I think, FETs where one of them pulls, if you think of a speaker, like a speaker driver going back and forth, there's one FET that pulls it forward and one that pulls it back. And so what this thing spits out is just there's two pins of PWM that go back and forth. One's for positive voltage, one's for negative voltage. And so it literally just, from what I understand, if you just filter both of those signals, feed them into those push-pull FETs, you get audio. So and looking at it in the scope, that seems to be what's happening. So yeah, so I'm almost done. I'm spitting out some bits, but what I have not figured out is the enclosure. And I was listening very closely, Matou, when you were talking about clear resin. I don't think anything's going to get clear enough for a window like this, but
it can.
Very recently, they figured out how to do that.
Really?
Yeah. Like if you look it up, it's a thing. It is very much a thing. I forgot exactly what they do, but you can definitely do it. It's who is it? PCBWay actually has like a resin printing prototype service for it. Yeah. There you go. Dave's got it. They put a treatment on it, and it makes it completely clear.
Oh snap! That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I want to like one thing I'd love to do is to just take my musician friends' music, put it on one of these, and just mail it to them and not say anything, and just see what people's reactions are. I think that's my plan, and hopefully my few musician friends aren't watching this, but I feel like that'd be a really fun way to
put your
I can see a theme in your project ideas.
Yeah.
Everyone talking in. Also, the picture sits right at the case, so that's pretty easy to get to see through. Like it doesn't have to be perfectly clear even to see it through. Like if it sits right at it.
Yeah, I imagine there's some forgiveness there. Destiny's Child, Independent Woman. This is a jam.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I also got I got a bag of them. I got the karaoke machine. The karaoke machine. Look at this thing. Look at this.
What?
It's got a little microphone that pops out. You can sing along to your favorite hit clips.
Oh my God. I can't believe these things were around long enough for that thing that existed.
And
anyone else on eBay right now?
Yeah, no, please.
It's sold out now.
Leave some for me, please. Yeah, I need to finish this project.
I wonder if that made outside of America. God, that was so bad. The audio quality was so horrible.
AliExpress for that.
They're really bad. I think what I can improve on is I'm actually going to have an SD card. So as far as audio length goes, I think I've solved that. But I think it's going to sound. I think it's not going to sound better. I think it's going to sound worse. No strings attached and sync.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and the icing on the cake too is like I've had this bag of hit clips for a weirdly long time.
This man is gonna make the EverDrive of hit clips. Is insane.
And when I say weirdly long time, I've had this bag for about like 5 years, which is not long enough where I would have had them when they like were actually cool, but still before I even knew how to do any of this stuff. And so I just had glad I found it. Glad I validated that 5-year-old eBay purchase.
I just realized I was never cool because I'm hearing the first time of those things.
I wouldn't read too hard into that.
As I say, I think it was like a 99 to 2002 thing, somewhere around that range, and it was aimed at kids. Like it was like the iPod had just become a thing,
right?
And that's what it was for.
I think there was one phase or one summer where they had something like that at Burger King.
Probably,
but I'm not sure if it was hit clips directly. But yeah, that's how we got into contact with that. But yeah, very nice. So are you using the ATtiny and then the PWM with the inverted output, or?
Yes. So what I'm going to do, this is the plan, and I'm like I said, most of the way there. So I have the PWM coming out of the ATtiny. I'm using the what is it? Petite FS. It's like a real lightweight file system reader that runs on the Tiny. So I have an SD card with just like it's just formatted to like FAT32 or whatever. drop-by-wave file on there. So the timing is pretty tight, and I'm a little worried I might not be able to pull it off. But the idea is I read in a chunk of bytes. I'll have 2 buffers, and the PWM will be going at I think it's like 24.5 kilohertz is the kind of the default rate. And I have an interrupt running as well that will just change the duty cycle of the PWM. Like it'll just pop things off that buffer as the file system reads into the other one. So it'll take the next byte, convert it into like figure out what the duty cycle should be, and and just change the value of the PWM every interrupt. And then to switch between the two, between like the positive PWM and the negative PWM, I'm actually going to have another pin that's just that's going to I have an external logic chip I just ordered that's going to switch. It's literally just like 2 AND gates, but so it's a one pin will be the PWM, and the other pin will tell the PWM which output to go out of on that external chip. So the PWM never needs to change from the AT Tiny. There's just going to be the PWM is going to be here, and then this other bit is going to go on and off as it should go positive or negative. This is your thumbnail.
Very nice. Cool. I just bought one. Ha!
Okay. I'll race you.
Of course.
This is why I don't want to talk about my projects.
Well,
no, it's just to play around and see the signal.
That actually happened to me. Like when I published my, sorry.
I'm just kidding. Totally, everyone steal it. I'm not clever. Just steal it. Do it.
No,
do it better.
I'm gonna do Tooth Tunes, which is apparently was born out of Hit Clips. It is a children's toothbrush made by the same company
with the
music while you brush your teeth.
It's like the inductive. It's like the first iteration of the ones you have, Matou. What are they? Bone induction, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like that. You bite down on the toothbrush. I remember that too.
That one, I completely missed that one. Wow. I posted a link to it in chat because it was a suggested article on the Hit Clips Wikipedia. Oh, because I was curious which company made it. I couldn't remember, and I saw Tiger, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, that's never gonna see the light of day. Sometimes the fun companies, you might be able to get someone to release the source codes at some point, but nope. Wow.
Very nice. Cool. Looking forward to that project because I kind of like all these tiny little gadgets that they brought out when they didn't have everything running on apps and phones and stuff.
Yeah.
And
I totally agree. There's something really elegant about things that were just built to do the one thing, especially like my full-time gig is as an app developer. So I've been doing Android apps for past 8 years, and so there's something that like you get tired of where it's like, yeah, this phone can just run any app and people can just put out a billion apps, and that it's super powerful. Obviously, we all use them, and that's great, and it allows so many wonderful things. But as a creator, it stops being inspiring when it's that accessible in a way. So that's kind of what's swung me this way was that idea of like, yeah, this thing was designed to do its thing efficiently, effectively, and that's beautiful in itself.
Yeah, that's a wonderful time of the 90s where it got. Oh, wait a minute. We just. Whoop. I have these little. What is it? The Pokemon Mini, Pokemon Pikachu, right? And this one also has cartridges and IR, and I just bought them to, I don't know, look at them from time to time because they're so tiny and cute.
Japan got all the cool shit. The Pocket Station.
Yeah.
This is why I was talking about the LCD. This is next.
Ooh.
Tamagotchi.
So yeah, my Pocket
Very
Station
nice.
at work.
Cool. Very cool. I think it's my turn now. I'm gonna just segue to me now. But that was a wonderful presentation of things.
Thank
So-
you. Yeah, thanks for letting me yammer.
And this is, I think I've shown the box like a lot of times now on the MakerCast, but I finally found the courage to work on it again. It's a 16-step sequencer, and it's made with logic chips that, well, do everything on their own. So you don't have to program anything, which is supposed to be good and easy then to just sort it together and it works. But yeah, the guy who made the schematics for it had no idea what he was doing, apparently, which was me. And I started with an eight-step sequencer, and that was kind of okay to do, and everything checked out. So I thought maybe I can try to put together 2 8-step sequences, and yeah, make it 16 steps, and then you can maybe play them both together at the same time, or just run it for 16 steps, or make one run backwards and all that. So I was very focused on so many things that I can add to it. Yeah, that I kind of got lost in it, and then I designed a board around it. There's a little the black PCB in here. I think that one is better. Oops. I'm not very good at this. Okay. So there are now 7 chips on here, and when I got the first revision of the board, the LEDs ran backwards, which I had to then change. And then the next problem was that there was no sound coming out of it, which was mildly frustrating because that was its only purpose. And there were so many little things that I forgot, or I had a capacitor that was supposed to go to ground, but it was going to another pin, so that's why there wasn't any sound coming out. And I did so many little botches and never, it never just worked right. And when I started to combine the 2 8-step sequences together, they would influence each other because the runtime, no, it was not the runtime. Whenever one 8-step sequencer was running, the other one stopped and was stopped on a high or low position. But I joined them by a diode, so this kind of influenced the frequency of the other oscillator. So I had like, it was running fine first, and then it was switching to half a tone off. And yeah, there were so many things that just frustrated me. And I think I'm working on this for a year now, and it was supposed to be a project on element 14. So yeah, that was a bit nerve-wracking, but the contract got canceled, and this kind of killed all the pressure. And now I was finally working on it again, and I'm looking into the schematics, and I found the problems that were all bugging me. And now I know that when I want to join the 2 oscillators and all the stuff, then I just have to use an operational amplifier before I join them, so they don't interact with each other anymore. So now I kind of have a plan and know how to work on it again. So that's pretty neat. But yeah, it's still a mess on the back, and there's gonna be so many wires that I have to add to make all the buttons functional. And I also have to drill again into this and have to figure out what buttons I want on this and where the switches should go.
But
yeah,
this is already the new revision, or what?
No, it's still the old revision with all the botches on there, and I still want to figure out how the op amp needs to be connected and what parts I need after the op amp to connect everything. And if that's figured out, I'm going to make the last changes in the Keycat file, order them, and maybe solder them at one point. But yeah, But at least I installed the cool, what is it called? The Buzzard plugin for KiCad. I think Greg Devil ported that, and you can make really nice labels that are, well, you can also change the corners of it, make them round, or put them at an angle, or make them pointy. So I'm using them to show if it's an output, then I'm turning the pointy bit towards outside the PCB and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool, and also motivating me to stay in KiCad and not jump back to Eagle again. And I think with the other project that I'm working on, I think I'm now in the right KiCad mindset and don't have to swap back to Eagle again. So that's pretty cool.
Are you using KiCad the nightly, or are you using the stable version?
The stable version.
10? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure really why I did that, because I hear a lot of good things about the nightly build, but
yeah, I think it's worth probably switching soonish, because the formats are not compatible anymore.
Yeah, I mean that's
Like
then
in
that's
the
kind of the
Hornet
thing.
features.
If you start a project, if you even like mess with a project in the nightly, if it's a backup, it's not a big deal, but it changes the format over. So if you're working solely by yourself, it's not a big deal to do the nightly, because they can be sometimes it can be unstable. But if you're working with other people, just for the sake of simplicity, it's easier to stick with the stable one. So a lot of my stuff has stayed in stable, but I've worked a lot in the nightly, and I'm so excited about 6. It's gonna be freaking awesome.
Yeah, all right. That's good to hear. Yeah, I'm also using it to I have my Ubuntu desktop here where I'm working on the files, and then I'm also working on my MacBook from time to time. So I think stable is the way to go for that. And then, yeah. Someone was asking what I'm driving with the sequencer. So there are Hexschmidt triggers in there that also they don't only support the clock, but they also make the noises. You're just using the variable resistor and the capacitor together to make the noises, and then you go through all the resistors, and then you get different sounds. It's not the nicest sound that you can make with a machine, because it's a sawtooth. No, it's not a sawtooth even. It's a square wave. So it's very, yeah. But you can put that through filters, I guess. Yeah.
You can make hit clips.
Yes. I can make what?
Hit
hit
clips.
clips. Yeah, sure.
PWM, square waves.
So basically, I can try to put it into the amplifier and see what comes out of it, but maybe not. But yeah, that's correct. That's a 4010-6 oscillator, the Hexschmidt trigger inverter. Yeah. So I'm not there yet that I can show the thing working together, because now it's just flying capacitors that are connected to something, and yeah. But maybe the next MakerCast when I'm on there. Yeah. So there are 2 other projects that I kind of started that are somewhat similar, and they involve LCDs. And I kind of learned working on one project, I learned something that could help me on the other project, and then back again. So this is kind of neat. Yeah, I'm not sure if I think I've shown them on the last MakerCast. I was on the very cheap calculator watches that you can get for 2 to 3 euros. And I thought this might be a good project to just try and replace the PCB and make it something that you can, I don't know, program stuff for. And also I always wanted to reuse an LCD or work with it, but I never had any idea how to control them. And well, technically, that's not true. I was looking at OLED displays to put them in and control them with an ESP or something. But then I didn't find anything that would fit. And then I thought, or someone asked me if I could not just use the LCD for something. This spiraled down into looking for parts and how do you even control this. And there are plenty of chips that you can use for controlling LCDs. And that's where I read into a lot. And then somebody told me like, hey, why don't you use the SAM L22, which is an ARM processor with an integrated LCD controller. So it's just one chip, which is pretty nice if you want to put it in something small like this. Yeah. And then Hackaday posted about it, and it was also on the Hackaday podcast. And now people are asking me for finished PCB files, which I can't deliver. But yeah,
it was Joey Castillo. He works on a Casio watch replacement with that processor.
Yeah, right. So he also introduced me to the SAM L22 and was like, "Hey, you could totally use this chip." And later then I saw that he was working on something similar, which is pretty nice because now I have someone who's a bit further in the future of his project and knows some things about the SAM L22. And so far, it kind of looks good, what I did there. Yeah. And the other thing that I took apart recently, and I should have it laying around here. I was not prepared for that. This is the Casio VL-Tone VL1. It's one of the first keyboards that Casio produced, and before that they were doing calculators, and then they made a calculator that also can make music, and then they thought they can make a keyboard that can also be a calculator. Normally there's sitting an LCD display in here, and this keyboard is famous for being in the Da Da Da. Is it Da Da Da? Yeah, the Trio song, and it has a very recognizable rhythm section. So if you hear it, I don't have any batteries in here, and it kind of is taken apart right now. But yeah, if you hear it, you know what I mean. And yeah, one of the most, if you're looking for it online, you find a lot of them that have a broken LCD display, which is actually just the cable connector that's connecting the LCD to the board. It's kind of paper-based, or it's very brittle after. How old is this? I mean, it's old, but yeah. So the years haven't been nice to it. Never actually looked for a year. But anyways, yeah, the LCD is not broken. I removed it and removed all the glue, and then I was able to just make the display show something again. So I thought I would just recreate the footprint for the display in KiCad, and then use some zebra rubber thingies and try to make a connector and design something that holds everything together. So this is some thing that I will work on when the PCBs arrive and the zebra strips. Yeah. And the cool thing about those keyboards is that they've used the chip in other keyboards as well. So there are some, I think 5 or 6 versions of Casio keyboards that can do everything this can do, but they don't have an LCD display in there. And the cool thing about the LCD display is that there's one little spot that's blinking all the time when you're playing. Ooh, yes, that's a PT10. No, 1.
1.
Yeah, very nice.
It's really gross.
Yeah, I have 1 or 2 of them here as well, and they are gross indeed. But there's the same chip in there. So once I've found the right pins and the right technique, you can probably get the beats per second, beats per minute out of there. Like there's a clock for the rhythm section, because it's showing it on the display. So my plan for all those tiny keyboards is to get the rhythm out so you can plug it into your synth, and then you have something synchronized to a otherwise clock that isn't really on point to any beats per minute. So it's not like 120 and then the next speed is 125, or it's very random, but not random. But yeah. So it's pretty.
As you say, that sounds like an amazing and very useful mod.
Yeah.
Does yours have the thing where you can record a sequence of keys and then play it back with the? There's 2.
There's a 1 key pad.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that feature.
They all have it, and the VL tone has an ASDR function.
Oh wow.
ASDR? ADSR? ADSR, sorry.
ADSR,
Yeah, so you can program via some keys using the calculator display and stuff. You can actually program it to make it sound differently. And since it's the same chip, if you kind of figure out what to press, then you can probably do that with the other one as well. So this is something that I want to figure out at one point as well, which is nice. But yeah, I like seeing all those modifications on those keyboards, but nobody is really sharing how they're doing that, which is kind of not nice. But I want to share everything that I find out about it. So yeah.
Well, that is nice.
You have to share. I've learned something from someone else, so
yeah, I don't know why people do that. Like, why are you keeping that stuff secret? Like, going to make a big product out of hacking keyboards? I don't know.
Well, some like to modify them and then sell them to some musicians, and they seem to like to pay money for that. But yeah.
I didn't know that musicians are known to have money, but sure.
They have money for instruments and stuff, I guess. But yeah. Okay, who's gonna sack me out of demonstrating stuff?
I
Do we have
I
a
have
quiz?
something.
I
I
think
have
that was
something.
asked
My
quite
my
times.
my mind is going wild since the hit clip thing and what you just dropped with your synthesizer. I couldn't stop thinking of actually you can use the hit clips maybe like as like a sequence and put it in a Euro rack or something.
Oh, yeah.
So we need we need Liz here.
Look, well,
Liz is
computer
still
project.
online. I can see her in the chat. So she started to design Euro rack parts. Imagine that you can just plug in the hit clip cartridges inside and then use like a trigger signal to like start a loop or something. And then if Guy provides us with programmable basic like cartridges that you can maybe even like plug in with USB and drop some samples on, that is like crazy. My mind is going wild. I just bought a hit clip set for.
Oh shit! I was looking at one. Didn't you? I hope you didn't buy that one I looked at.
I
still there.
I don't know if you are, but I'm just buying one set with like. There's also a radio, like.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. No, you bought it. You no.
Like,
Fucking.
45 euros. It's gone. It's fine.
Oh, that's too much money. Good God.
No, it's more.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
five.
yeah.
It's five.
Oh, 5.
I like
What,
the
we
idea
have
of
5.
attacking
No,
the
I
player
bought a set with like a complete set of the player and the cartridge, 4 cartridges and the radio thingy. I
Oh,
just
never
want to
mind.
play.
You bought a different one, but they accepted my lower offer. Nice. Never mind. All good.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, pay less. Only 36 euros.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Okay. Okay. Never
So-
mind. But
So I still win 27.
Yeah, I saw that one you snagged.
This even means she has one already.
I'm
like
going to need a
hit
live
clip
reaction
thing.
for
Oh
you guys
man,
listen to the audio
that's like
quality
crazy.
of those.
Imagine that, and you can basically we can design, or someone can design like this Eurorack module and send it to. Okay, look, my mom, my computer. No, what's his name? Oh no!
Yeah, look, my computer. I was thinking like, this is a perfect project for him. Like,
Yes, basically, it's something for him. Like he would totally show this off.
I like the idea too. Now you got me thinking. The what's the harmonics game where you put the cards down and you do like the mashups? You have different components of different songs. Drop Mix, I think, it's a
I don't know this game.
it's a video game, but it has this crazy peripheral where you place like I think they're like RFID or NFC cards down, and that feeds into like an iPad, and the iPad plays different parts of different songs depending on what you like. Literally, you play a card. And so they built this crazy audio system where it'll stretch and kind of manipulate the audio so that no matter what cards you put down, they're going to sound good together. So it's, if you're familiar with the idea of mashups, you have the vocals from one song over the instrumentals of another. It'd be cool to do that with the hit clips too. Is just have like a row of them, and you just like pop them in and
Yeah. Some
You too
triggers
can be your
and
own Hit Clips DJ.
the Furby organ that they made. Look, my computer. Like just. I
This is
see
just
lots of
making me wanna get back
potential
into it.
synergies happening here.
yeah. Oh, I'm a big fan.
Yeah. Very nice.
We should get that going.
Oh, well, we kind of made it to the 2 hours. I was skeptical when we got to the first one if we're not one of the longest MakerCasts, but we kind of managed it again.
it got long again, and but even didn't have a quiz.
Exactly.
We had some
But
very
it's kind
interesting
of-
stuff, though. Very worth it.
Yeah. That's me hosting. That's always above 2 hours.
Do I still
Well,
hold the
technically-
record for the long?
I think so, yeah.
I think-
Goddamn right.
All right. Did we
Not
break
me,
it?
what? Yeah, but yeah, it was a fun round, definitely. And I think we're calling it though, right? We're not gonna do anything more. Okay, good.
Well,
I took a nap before. I could go on, but no.
I
Unlike-
drank some Matou.
Very nice.
I desperately
Alright.
need water, so
Yes.
That's a very
You should've-
valid reason. We should just
Yeah. All right. So
get some more.
yeah, thanks everyone for being here. It was a very nice round. We had some fun. And I'm gonna promote afterwards so that more people will see this, I guess. Because I was not live tweeting. But yeah, sometimes we tweet on the MakerCast channel. Some people have OnlyFans channels, as it seems.
esoteric
but yeah,
news, my guy.
Yeah, I've already posted that in the chat when you were talking about it. So you might check your Etsy orders now.
Oh, I was making an OnlyFans joke.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, though. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we can add a lot of OnlyFans channels to the description afterwards as well. But yeah, other than that, go follow everyone. And we don't have a host yet for the next one. It was hard enough to find one for this month. So you will just see whenever we post about it. And there's also
Some
mail
people will be somewhere
list.
online.
Yes. So yeah. All right, then. Have a nice evening, everyone, or day, or wherever you are whatever time it is.
Bye-bye.
Back to planet.
Bye.
Hi,
Ciao.
thank you.
Yeah, bye, cat.